Night has fallen, and the moon is a glowing golden orb in the black sky. See how it shines on the dark back roads of America, and on one road in particular. Come with us, and we'll take a walk down the moonlit road, for the night is waiting, and the moon is full.
The Moonlit Road presents Episode 49, The Sausage Ghost, written by Craig Dominy and told by Kodak Harrison.
If there's one thing New Orleans is famous for besides jazz and gumbo, it's ghost stories. Why, it's almost a matter of public shame if you own an old building that doesn't have a ghost or two lurking about, and the more gruesome the tale, the better. But this story is one of the most gruesome of them all, and the scary thing is some folks say it actually happened. Back in the 1800s, a young German couple opened a sausage factory in New Orleans. They were well respected for being hard workers and a very pleasant sort of people. They greet their customers with a smile and call out their names when they walk through the door.
Good morning, Mrs. Williams, and such a beautiful day.
And a good morning to you too, Harriman. You got any good sausage today?
Oh, I got a fresh kind, very...
On top of that, they made some of the most delicious pork sausage you ever put in your mouth. But of course, like a lot of other marriages, there was a darkness lurking behind the public smiles and affection. Behind closed doors, the husband was getting a bit tired of his wife. In his eyes, all their hard work had made her old and wrinkled before her time. It wasn't long before he found a young mistress and eventually fell in love with her. And he knew he could never have a life with his new lover as long as his wife was around. So one night after the shop closed, the man crept up behind his wife as she swept the floor, wrapped a cord around her neck, and strangled her. She was a strong woman and put up quite a fight, but her husband was stronger. And as he pulled the cord tighter and tighter around her throat, he could feel her body collapse until she finally fell dead onto the dirty floor. Her husband gazed down at her body and smiled. At last, he thought, I'm free. Now, if you've ever been down in New Orleans, you know it's awful hard to conceal a murder down there because there's so little land space and all the houses are built right up against one another. You become very aware of what your neighbors are up to. But the sausage maker had a gruesome plan. With great effort, he lifted his wife's body off the floor and stuck her head first into the sausage grinder. As the days passed, the man reveled in his happy new life with his mistress, but he continued to keep their relationship a secret so he wouldn't raise any suspicion. Whenever customers walked into his shop and asked where his wife was, he'd say she was ill or she was visiting relatives out of town. Nobody thought twice about it, and life went on as normal. But shameful secrets have a way of creeping up on people eventually. And the longer his wife stayed missing, the more the neighbors began to whisper that something was wrong. The sausage maker's appearance had become unkempt and haggard, his eyes tired and bloodshot. What's more, the quality of his meats had deteriorated. Some customers had even bit into pieces of hair and torn fabric in their breakfast sausage. Late one evening, the sausage man was cleaning the front of the shop, trying desperately to think of a new excuse for his wife's prolonged absence. Suddenly he heard a strange thumping noise coming from the back room. It sounded to him like somebody was grinding sausages. He ran into the back, and what he saw next froze him in his tracks. Climbing out of the sausage vat was his dead wife. Her shop apron was covered in blood, and her head was horribly mutilated. She walked slowly towards her husband, arms outstretched, her agonizing moans filling the room. The sausage maker ran out into the street in a panic, screaming loudly. One by one, his neighbors rushed out of their homes and asked what was wrong. Gathering himself, he claimed to have had a bad dream and thanked them for their concern. Night after night, the hauntings continued. The neighbors became more and more suspicious. Dark rumors spread that the man had murdered his wife. But where was her body? The answer came one day when a customer bit into a piece of a gold wedding ring in her sausage. She informed the police, who raided the sausage factory that evening. As they busted into the back room, they found the sausage maker huddled in a corner, screaming uncontrollably like a maniac. He was pointing his shaking finger at the sausage grinder. He cried out that his wife was coming to get him. The police grabbed him and promptly locked him up in the nearest insane asylum. But the asylum provided no safe haven for the sausage man. He screamed day and night that his wife's ghost had entered the room and was coming to get him. He eventually had a complete mental breakdown and committed suicide. During the time the sausage maker was locked up, the factory was sold to another man who claimed the ghost of the sausage maker's wife continued to haunt the building. But after her husband's suicide, the hauntings stopped, and the ghost was never seen again. Nowadays, you might find a long-time New Orleans resident whose ancestor was one of those unlucky ones who ate that tainted sausage that year. Needless to say, that's one of those deep, dark secrets that's probably best taken to the grave.
That concludes this tale from The Moonlit Road. Be sure to visit our website at themoonlitroad.com to find out more about our stories and let us know how we're doing. The Moonlit Road is produced and directed by Craig Dominy, recorded and soundscaped by Henry Howard in beautiful Stone Mountain, Georgia. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.